Italy has officially sealed Poveglia, just minutes from Venice. We'll separate legend from record, plague quarantines, a later asylum, and the risks that remain. Venice has known this island for centuries. Roman-era references note a small outpost, but its infamy grows in the late Middle Ages, when waves of plague reshape the lagoon. By the 1300s, Venezia tightens maritime health rules, and Poveglia begins to appear in quarantine strategy. The Venetians built a network of lazarettos, quarantine islands, to screen ships, isolate the sick, and disinfect cargo. Poveglia fit into this system as a controlled buffer between city and contagion during outbreaks from the 14th through 17th centuries. During major plagues, 1348, 1575, 77, and 1630, officials diverted traffic, marked routes, and staged inspections. On charts, the path from Venice to Poveglia traces a thin line of last resort. What happened here was methodical: isolation in makeshift wards, burning of contaminated bedding and timber, and burial pits for those who died. These measures are documented. Tales of endless pyres and constant torture belong more to folklore than to verified record. As the centuries passed, ships avoided the channel when illness spread. Estimates of how many were sent here vary widely by source. Historians agree on large numbers, but not precise totals. Walk the edges today and the clues are physical: aged timbers, rusted mooring rings, brickwork slumping back into the water, quiet evidence of hard use and hurried abandon. And the soil? Ashes and human remains may be present in places, consistent with burning and emergency burials. But dramatic figures about the island's soil composition are debated and not universally accepted. Poveglia stands where policy, panic, and public health converged, a quarantine threshold for Venezia. Its story sets the stage for what came next, and why the island remains tightly controlled even now. The biological nightmare was only the beginning. In the early 20th century, commonly cited as the 1920s, Poveglia's barracks and hospital wards were adapted into a psychiatric facility. Water seeped through cracked roofs, salt air corroded hinges, and the corridors filled with the muffled shuffle of patients and staff. This was a place built for order, but permeated by sorrow. Treatments of that era reflected the limits of medical understanding: restraints to prevent self-harm, hydrotherapy in tiled rooms meant to calm agitation, sedatives, and strict routines to manage overcrowded wards. Files were thin, resources thinner, and outcomes uncertain. By the 1930s to 1950s, early psychosurgery, what the world would call lobotomy, spread through parts of Europe and the US, often crude and irreversible. Some accounts suggest similar procedures reached Poveglia. What's clear is the period's desperation: invasive measures taken when gentler options were scarce. Records here are sparse. One story refuses to die: a doctor who leapt from the bell tower. It's a persistent local legend, but documentation is limited and remains unverified. What is verified is the decay you see today: ceilings falling in sheets, floors soft with water damage, stair treads fractured, iron beds rusted through. The facility reportedly closed by the mid-20th century, often cited as the 1960s, and the island was left to the elements. Now, every step risks collapse. Every breath stirs dust from a century of abandonment. The horror here isn't theatrical, it's physical, structural, and tragically human. Cut the folklore. Today, Poveglia is ring-fenced: active patrols, posted bans, and zero casual landings. Why do police boats sweep these waters night after night? Why are entry permits almost never approved? Recent satellite surveys and municipal risk assessments spotlight this island with alarming notes. Even auctions and private leases have stalled, again and again. What are they really keeping under the ash and behind those walls? In the next moments, I'll show you the real reason: an active biological hazard fused with catastrophic structural collapse, and why stepping foot here can make you a criminal. Stay with me. Beneath Poveglia's overgrowth, the shoreline soils are laced with centuries of human disturbance. Most epidemic bacteria don't survive long in open earth, but the island holds dense organic layers where mold, spores, and fine particulates persist. When wind, roots, or a careless step disturb that sediment, you can aerosolize irritants and biological residue. Add nesting animals and insects moving through those layers, and you get a messy, unpredictable exposure pathway, especially for lungs and skin. Investigators treat the ground here like an active hazard. Avoid digging, avoid scraping, avoid kicking up dust. It's less about myth, more about cumulative risk. Aged organic matter, fungal growth in shaded masonry, and stagnant interiors where spores concentrate. Masks help, but once sediment is airborne, conditions shift fast with humidity and wind. Then there's the structure itself. Floors are unseated, beams are cracked, and hidden voids open without warning. Exposed rebar, glass, and corroded fasteners turn a stumble into a critical injury. As with many derelict sites from the era, asbestos insulation and lead-based paints may still be present. Another reason professionals keep ventilation, PPE, and time on site tightly controlled. Italy restricts access not to feed legends, but to prevent accidents and contamination. Local authorities do patrol these waters, and entry without authorization risks prosecution and fines. Any research or conservation work runs through permits and heritage oversight to protect what remains, both the structures and the human story embedded in this ground. In the 2010s, there were attempts to lease or sell parts of Poveglia for redevelopment. Public pushback and heritage concerns were immediate because this place is more than land. It's a grave and a caution. That is why people are kept out, to prevent collapse and contamination, to conserve a fragile site, and to respect the dead who still define its soil. Whatever you believe about hauntings, the real dangers are enough. The island doesn't need sensationalism, only distance, documentation, and care. On this silent shard of Venice, history, sorrow, and public safety converge. Poveglia is not just haunted by stories, it is burdened by evidence. The island endures, walled off, a warning etched in water and wind. Some borders exist to protect life. Subscribe. Join us as we examine forbidden places worldwide with sources, fieldwork, and measured analysis. Follow and subscribe for evidence-based investigations. No hype, just truth. New revelations await. Stay curious. Stay safe.